Hey, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Moms in Real Estate in the Morning. I'm here by myself today because my partner, Kristen, is on a plane. I have a little bit of FOMO because she's heading to, oh my goodness, what is it called? 30A in Florida. So sandy beaches, bonfires, all the good things are in her future. She's going to a working retreat where they're going to dive into their business over the next couple weeks. Or couple days. She's not going to be there a couple weeks, but like me, she piggybacks a family trip on, which will follow. So I'm flying solo today, and I think it's kind of funny because today we're talking about small talk. So love it or hate it, we're going to talk about small talk and how to win with small talk. And I think it's so funny that I'm having this conversation one by myself, right? So talk about awkward small talk with yourself is always awkward. But Kristen, if I'm not mistaken, just said we were together at an event last week in Dallas. And I remember her saying like she despises small talk. And it kind of caught my attention because she is one of the best connectors that I know. So I wish I was having this conversation with her, but maybe we'll do a follow-up when she gets back. But I would love to hear in the comments, drop a comment. Do you love small talk? Do you hate small talk? And also, I think where it's important to start is what is small talk? So I think we all kind of have our own definition of like what small talk is. And so I actually researched it. Small talk is light and easy topics that aren't too personal or confrontational. And so, kind of examples of small talk are, you know, how, I don't know, I can't think of one at the moment, but it's like you're at the grocery store and you're just talking about something on the shelf. That's a good example of small talk. And so why is it important for us as real estate agents to kind of master small talk is what I want to talk about. And one of the reasons why is because what we know is people work with who they know and they like and they trust. And so small talk is the beginning point, right? Real estate is a contact sport. It's something that's contact. So if you just had a mission to start small talk with 5 people a day, this could significantly move the needle in your business. But how do you make it less awkward is what we're going to talk about today. If that's not for you naturally, right? To where it's not feeling awkward. And you've probably heard of one of the most simple formulas that people use, which is the Ford formula. This is always a little bit extra easy for me to remember because my dad worked for Ford. So I felt like it just was super easy for me. But if you haven't heard of the Ford method, it stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And so it is asking questions around these things, right? Because the truth is people love to talk about themselves. And so kind of finding that connection, like, what do you like? Oh, what do you like to do? Like, what are your hobbies or whatever? And somebody says like, oh, like coffee and cozy. Like I love to do all things with coffee and just being cozy. Like it's an instant connection point. Like, oh my goodness, me too. And then you can easily go like, what's your favorite coffee drink? Or you see how you can start to layer that on there without feeling forced or faked. But in order to do that, one of the things that's important is to keep it short and natural. And remember that like we're not giving a TED talk. Have we ever, I'm guilty of this, but it's like I want to go deep too quick. And so it's like I start and then I'm like, oh, let's go deeper and deeper. So I kind of have to say, I feel like I was evaluating how Kristen does it. And if you're going to go deep, like go deep from the beginning. I feel like that's her MO. She's just like instantly like, tell me your business model. Like, oh, tell me what you do. Like she just instantly has that deeper level interest. And when we speak of interest, I think that's another key takeaway is being interested, right? I am guilty, so guilty of being a talker and loving to share. I'm that oversharer. And so it's easy for me to go. And I just recently had this happen where I asked for a coffee because I wanted to get to know somebody better. And I literally even prayed on the way to the coffee. I was like, God, help me to be a good listener. And lo and behold, when we left that coffee, I had like downloaded so much on them and I knew so little. And so I think that is an absolute like vital thing that we have to learn to do is to be interested and really listen to them, even in the small talk, right? And I think in the small talk is where we can actually set the tone for being different, because what I've noticed, and if anybody else is here, feel free to drop in the chat if you've noticed this, but people are so distracted. So it's like, even when you are having that small talk and it just as simple as about a coffee, like, oh, what's your favorite coffee? They're on their phone or they're doing something else. And it just feels yuck. When you're on the receiving side of that, it just feels yucky. So if we could take the time to actually be present and actually look them in their eyes and care even about the small talk, that sets the tone for that connection that we're trying to make. Um, so yes, listen more than you talk. That's going to be key. Keeping it short and natural is going to be key. And also, if it's awkward, just move on, right? Because, like I already kind of alluded to, small talk isn't deep. So if it's not natural for you to start asking those deeper questions, move on and know it's just a warm up. It does not have to, the person does not have to move from a level 10 or, from a level 0 acquaintance to a level 10 friend in one conversation. And this is where strategy is important in relationship building. Your goal with each conversation with somebody should just be to move them 1 point closer to you. Like you're just moving the relationship one step at a time rather than like trying to take them from here to there. And that's often why we see agents fail even in their calls and in their lead gen and in their prospecting, because we're trying to move from here to there. And if you want them to actually work with you long term and you want to become somebody that they edify and that they refer, you have to do the work in the middle. Shortcutting that won't work. So bottom line is small talk leads to business, right? And it leads to business without sounding sleazy, right? So finding a way to follow up, and this was a huge takeaway of mine last week in the event that Kristen and I went to together in Dallas, was setting the next appointment. So I am somebody, oh goodness, I am, it is Monday morning. Anyways, oh goodness, there we go. I think I'm back. I don't know how long I was gone, but hopefully it wasn't too long. I am someone who doesn't set the next appointment very well. Like it's not that I don't set the next appointment. I kind of set expectations of like, okay, where are we at? What are we thinking? But we need to always be setting that next appointment. And so Sharon actually used an acronym, which I wish Kristen was here to remind me, but I think it was like BAM FAM or something. But it stood for always book that next appointment. And so even in small talk, if somebody says, oh, how's the market? Flip it. Oh, it just depends. Are you thinking about buying or selling? Right. And then use it as a stepping stone and say, let's grab a cup of coffee. Let's talk about it. So use it as that stepping stone. What is that next layer that you can do? And then in using it as that stepping stone, we can remember that like that little chat today is that deal later. Right. And so I have a challenge for you guys around small talk. I'm going to challenge all of our listeners and our viewers to start 3 new conversations this week and just see where they go, right? I really want you to start building that muscle. And whether you're the brand new agent or you're the highly seasoned agent, even those of us that are highly seasoned can always use new business. And so let's go out there, let's set 3 new conversations, and let's go ahead and have that small talk and start that brand new conversation, whether it's online, whether it's face-to-face. Let's start those 3 new conversations, but then let's have follow-up. Like, what is the next step with them? And so that we can actually move them forward in relationship making, because that's what it's all about. So anyways, hopeful this morning podcast was valuable for you. I feel like it would have been 10 times more valuable. There would have been 2 of us having a conversation around small talk, but that's okay. I'm glad you bared with me today and got some good takeaways. In fact, drop below what your takeaways are. And I can't wait to hear how those 3 conversations go. Bye, guys.